Let's go ahead and continue building the face. We're gonna go and create a CV curve. Now go to your side view and draw the profile of your character. Something like that. Click enter when done. Adjust anything that might need adjustment. Let's move this up a little bit. I'm going to turn off my X-ray so that I can see a little better where things are at. Grab the vertices, move them back slightly. Keep in mind that if things don't match up perfectly, that's okay. You just want to get your geometry somewhere in between. That way we can still get the likeliness of the character, which is what we're going for. I'm just gonna make sure that both of these kind of go together. So you go into your control vertex, move this slightly outwards. Something like that. So we're gonna go ahead and select these edges, shift, select the curve, and now we're gonna go into edit mesh, extrude, option box. You can set the divisions anywhere from 13 to 14. Let's change the curve settings to select it, make sure that's there, and then let's hit apply. Okay, things look pretty good for the most part. Probably will adjust it, especially here, so we can change the number of divisions, add less or add some more. Now obviously we need to go back in here and kind of play with that a little bit. I will probably bump up the number of divisions to maybe around 15. Now once done, I'll probably come in here and start moving these edges around so that they make a little bit more sense. Also scale some of these down. Go to object mode. I'll remove this for now, just move it out of the way so that I can see clearly what's going on here. So keep arranging it up until you find something that somehow resembles the character. Again, doesn't have to be 100% exact, but just clean it up enough so that it's easier to understand what's going on. We can keep tweaking this a little bit later. Okay, now we're with this object selected. We're gonna go back to object mode. Go ahead and delete the history. And now we can select the curve and get rid of that. We can bring the mouth now closer to where it needs to be. When you look at geometry, feel free to add edge loops where needed. So maybe we'll add one here. You want the polygons to more or less have a similar size. Maybe I'll put another one there. Right, that's fine for now. Go into the front view, select the vertices, and make sure that these are snapped to center. can also use the scale tool to align them correctly. Now that things have been aligned, we can come here towards the bottom and start merging some of these together. Remember to hold down X so that you can snap that to the grid. Check that everything is snapped to the grid correctly. So then when it's mirror over, you have no holes or empty gaps. And now we have a frame to go off of. So from here on out, what we're going to be doing is a combination of combining these objects into one and then either bridging them together or using the fill hole command to complete the geometry of the face. Let's go ahead and start here. Go to object mode. Let's move this a little bit to the side, just like so. We can now select them both and go into mesh combine. Now they're both one object. Now let's identify the vertices we would like to merge. So go to vertices, and I'm probably gonna add one more edge loop here actually, so that I continue that edge flow. So I'll connect this one to this one, this one to this one, and this one to this one. Let's see how that looks. Okay, let's repeat the same process up here. Just gonna create one more edge loop, and now let's weld these together. Select them all, then deselect the ones that you don't need. Move everything slightly down. Okay. Let's add 2 more edge loops. Here now, we can select those edges. Let's go to mesh, fill hole, and now using the slicer, you can come in and start connecting some of these points together. So what I'm thinking is that this one in particular, maybe a good approach would be for us to select that edge, get rid of it. Remember that whenever you select and get rid of an edge, you need to also get rid of the vertices that is left behind. And now what we can do is grab the edge loop tool. Well, you see, there's another vertice floating there. Let's get rid of that. Okay, let's try this one more time. Here we go. So whenever your edge loop doesn't go the way, notice that you may have floating vertices somewhere. I do have this one right here. So here's my plan. Why don't I cut that one, take it here. Now we have an edge loop there. Because I have a similar situation up here, I'll repeat the process. So notice how here I have a 5-sided polygon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And notice how my edge loop doesn't go through. However, when it hits a poly, it kind of goes through. So these two did not merge. So let's go back and let's assure that those two are one. There we go. Now if I go with my edge loop, you would see that it will go through completely. So this is kind of like a nice way to verify that what you're doing is on point and you're not missing anything. So you see now I can do edge loops everywhere except for here. Let's go ahead and fix that. I'll just probably do that there. For now, I can always fix it later. But yeah, I can add any edge loop at any given point. Let's see, so it stops here because this is a triangle. So that's what's happening there. Here one goes, yeah, it stops here because it's a triangle. Okay, yeah, we're ready to keep moving. At any rate, so what we do now is we go to the faces. And I will probably select this cluster of faces here to kind of bring them back and somehow create that cavity for the mouth. Just push it back, just like so. And now I can go in and move and adjust it accordingly. All right, so here I see an opportunity to kind of fix that edge loop. So I can connect these guys together. So that's good. That actually allows me to come in and get rid of some of these edges that might be on the way, like that one, and then this one. Now notice that I end up with all quads. And like I said before, nothing wrong with triangles, but quads will be preferred 9 times out of 10. Maybe we can run another edge loop. I'm thinking to avoid this triangle here. We're gonna go ahead and run it. However, now we can get rid of this one, of that edge. And we can grab this vertex and merge it with the one below. Repeat that here. Okay, perfect. Now we have just a bunch of quads everywhere. Let's go to object mode. Go ahead and press number 3 to see what you have so far. Right, so things are looking good. This is obviously stretched out, but we can fix that easily. Just moving some vertices around. It's no problem at all. There you go, but we do have the mouth cavity. Ready to go, very good. Let's move on to now doing something similar to what we just did, but with the eye. So we're gonna grab both of these. Let's go ahead and combine them together. Mesh, combine. Now they are both one object. We can come in and start bridging some of these together. Let's grab both of these edges and let's bridge them together. Edit, mesh, bridge. Let's set it to linear. You can reset the tool if you want. Set it to linear. Let's add some divisions, maybe like, yeah, 2 or 3. Let's apply it. You can always lower the number of divisions if you want. I'll leave it about 3. That's fine. Yeah, so when you are often bridging, this may happen. Again, the idea is that all of it looks straight, but sometimes this is just a matter of Maya just losing grip on what texture the texture there should be. So not a big deal. Just go to the hyper shade, and if you reapply that texture, it should work just fine. Here we go. We can now create another bridge. Let's grab this edge and let's grab this one, run it through, hit apply. There you go. Remember, you can always add more divisions. I would say anywhere from 3 to 4 divisions will probably work. You can have something curved, something a little bit more linear. Doesn't really matter. You can always fix it later. Let's grab now this corner. Let's extrude that out. I'm gonna lower the number of divisions there. Maybe somewhere like that. Maybe somewhere there. Now let's connect this top edge with this area here. Run it through with a bridge. Let's actually make this one linear, as our facial structure does adds a little bit of line here. Ultimately, what we want to do is resemble the muscles of the face with our geometry. So that would work. Can make it a little thinner. Maybe, yeah, I will go for this one with maybe 5, no, or 6 divisions. You want that one to be pretty smooth. And also, another thing that you can think about would be the number of divisions that you already have below, so that you can bridge them better. So consider this. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that will be around 8 and maybe 9. So that would be at about 9 edges that you have below. You want to make sure that you have about the same number up top so that you can bridge them. You can keep that geometry flow going, right? So this one will be connected to this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. I got 7. And with 8, okay, so 1, 2. Now it will be perfect because each one of these edges have a where to go. And you can see that now it's going to be almost like creating a mask for our character in terms of how we're building this. All right, so now I'm just going to be, at this moment, I'm just going to be repeating the same steps. I'm either going to bridge or fill hole and then continue the edge flow to complete the rest of the face. So notice that what I'm doing here is just bridging all these together. Now I'll select these edges, fill hole, and now let's continue my geometry. Remember, having some triangles here and there, not a problem at all. Probably gonna run one more edge loop there. So one issue that I just noticed about this technique is that not always all the vertices will be merged automatically. So one way in which you can go and verify that everything is actually attached together would be once you put it on smooth tool. This is the result you want. Nice line that kind of flows together. When you see this means that these lines are not connected. So if we go to one of these, let's say that one, and just kind of move it around, you would see how these are not connected. So though they seem together, they are not. Easy fix. Here's what you do. You go back to your object mode. Then try to, well, actually go to vertices. And then try to move them apart so that you can get access to the vertex. And once you have them both, you can merge them together. Okay, so this face is still not merged together. You see that? So let's go ahead and making sure that everything is merged accordingly. Let's go ahead now, press 3. There we go. So you gotta make sure that everything, because even if it's something all the way up here, as you guys saw, it will affect the geometry down. So I'm just selecting these two, merging them together, and then kind of repeating the process. Let's see down here. You see that? That means that these still need to be merged, and there we go. Cleans up the geometry automatically. Go through your work, triple check that everything is merged accordingly. You see there, we just tackled that issue. All right, very good. Sometimes you will find areas and opportunities where you can actually make quads out of triangles. So I see that here. Just gonna run through the slicer. Put that there. There we go. We go. In situations like this, all you have to do is kind of like rearrange so that they have nice edge flow. To finish things up, we're going to add a couple of edge loops around the eyes and around the mouth. All right, pretty good. In our next video, we're going to start adding details to the face.